Okay, I'm going to try and make this a quick video. How to check piston to valve clearance. Just keep in mind that this is vertical valve clearance, not necessarily radial valve clearance, which I like to do with clay or silly putty. This head is a 165 AFR head on a Ford with DSS pistons. So the valves are not very big, so I can basically with 100% certainty tell you there is not going to be any radial clearance issues. This is just vertical clearance. And this cam's not very big anyway, so the vertical should be fine. I've already done the intake. Do the intake where the intake valve is closest to the piston, which should be when the intake valve opens. There's a mile with this combo. It has 0.243 inches. That's a mile. So we'll look at the exhaust, which is typically the closest one anyways. So got my indicator set up, got plenty of travel, so it's I don't know, got 700 thou or something preload on the indicator. That way when the valve opens, I can follow it down. In any case, we're going to rotate. I think it's on the compression stroke right now. And the exhaust valve is closest, or I should say the exhaust clearance to the piston. The exhaust valve is closest to the piston when the exhaust is closing at the end of the exhaust stroke. So now we're on the exhaust stroke. Exhaust is opening. Exhaust is closing, or peaking. Now it's closing. Okay. So now we go in, find a place so you don't touch your indicator. So at this point, you got 30 plus, you got over 100. But it's like 150, 140. So, and can't really do this with two hands or with one hand holding the camera here, but what you do is you would rotate, you'd hold the valve open to where it's contacting the piston, and then you'd rotate Mr. Crankshaft, and you'd find where that number gets closest. And generally that's going to be your tightest spot. Now granted, your delta is obviously where the lift ends up being on the cam, so it's not quite as simple as just saying, oh, it's closest to the piston here. Well, it depends on where your lift is, because you subtract those two. But it's generally a pretty close assumption. So we're probably actually pretty close. 120, 140 is, it's getting a little close. So I'm going to do it and share the results with you, I guess. If I can figure out a way to sit this down, maybe I can show you. Mr. Cobra does not want to hold the camera very well. All right, good enough. So like I said, going to open the valve. And let's see, which way did that go? That is less. No, that's more. My bad. Yeah, I just saw the over center right there. So at this point, cam is there. You have, let's see, 170. So again, this is not actually the tight point. Got tons of clearance here. There we go. Now we're getting tight. Like I said, first number minus the second number. So that's your clearance. So here is 140. This guy. So we're at 60-ish, 100 plus 40. So 130, 140 probably, which that's not too bad considering where I've got the cam timing. It's pretty retarded, so the exhaust valve stays open a little longer, or later I should say, in the cycle. So that's about what I expected. It's tighter on the exhaust and the intake, but 120 is fine. They say, like, I don't know, it depends on how high you're spinning a motor and how big the cam is and blah blah blah, but generally if you got more than 100, you're pretty much fine. I've seen people run like 80. 80 is usually like the bare minimum, but 100's fine. 130 is more than enough. So that's how you check piston valve clearance. If you didn't know, obviously I've got checking springs. That's why I can open the valves with a finger.